Hello everyone, this is Carla Royal and I want to talk to you today about communications and relationships. I started this conversation yesterday with you and I want to continue today. So I was talking to a client today, another client, a different client, who was struggling in her relationship with her significant other. And they were just having a little bit of communication problems. And we realized in our session together that she had some expectations about him that she was not really aware of, and she also was creating some stories about an interaction they had that just were they weren't true. They were just imaginations, but those imaginations were stressful imaginations, and so it left her feeling pretty bad. So it reminded me of my relationship with my father. And we did not have a good relationship most of my life. I really just didn't like him very much. He was very rigid, very black and white. He was just ultra, I don't know, ultra responsible in a way that didn't leave much softness, I guess. And so the story I had since I was a child was that he just didn't love me, that I was a disappointment to him. And I carried that with me for decades, really. And I just did not have a good relationship with him. It was pretty sour, and I think he felt that as well. And I went to therapy about it. I wrote him letters about it. What I wanted from him was a deep emotional relationship. I wanted warm and fuzzies with him. I wanted this very emotional connection with him, and I didn't get it. I didn't get any of that. And I held on to those expectations for decades. And then something really interesting happened. About maybe 3 or 4 years before he died, something, I don't know, I woke up to something shifted in me. I'm not exactly sure how to put it, but I really just basically dropped my expectations of him. I just let it go. And then 2 years before he died, he developed cancer, and I ended up taking care of him every other week for a week at a time for 2 years. And during that time, to me, it felt miraculous. We healed, and we ended up having this very sweet and tender relationship. And I can look back and see exactly what happened, and that is I let go of my expectations for him to be a certain way for me. He could not do it. The bottom line was he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. And in fact, years earlier, he had told me he couldn't do it. I just didn't believe him, or I thought maybe he was just, not trying. But the truth was, given what he grew up in, he just didn't have it to give. And when I dropped that and accepted what is, and we've talked a lot about that in these videos, when I accepted what is, all of a sudden, my whole perspective widened, and I was able to see things that I could never ever see before. And I began to see and experience that he really did love me, and he did show me in many ways. They weren't in the language I wanted, they weren't in the way that I wanted, but once I dropped that expectation, that need to do that, then I was able to see so much good that I couldn't see before. And so I just want to ask you today, when in your relationships, to check in with yourself and see where you have expectations. And it may be that the person for whom you have these expectations simply isn't capable of giving you what you want. And I think at that point you have a couple of choices. Once you realize that, you have a choice to leave that relationship, or you have a choice to accept it as it is and to see what becomes available to you that was always there but you simply couldn't see before when you drop your expectations. And secondly, and I talked about this in yesterday's video, you now have the opportunity, as you drop your expectations, to ask for what you want, to negotiate, if you will, I don't like that word, I would say to co-create with that person some agreements. Daddy, could you drop the judgmental words when we communicate together? Or hey, husband, could you de-escalate your voice? Ask for an agreement. Co-create that together. And I think you might very well be surprised about what might transpire for you between you and your relationships. I hope this has been helpful. I'm Carla Royal. I'm a mindset and performance coach, and you can find me at carlaroyal.com. Thank you, everybody.